Hello, this is Peter VK3YE, and it's the morning of the 19th of March 2020. So in most places, it's still the 18th. Probably quite late in the evening for Europe, more in the afternoon for the Americas. I'm not sure if we've got audio, so let me know if there is audio or not. There's 7 people watching, which is good. Hello to Leonardo. Now, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello from Sweden. Oh, thank you. Thanks. The audio is fine. That's good. Sometimes it's a little bit critical. Yeah, just thought I'd come on. I haven't done one of these for a while. And a particular hello to those who are at home. Of course, a lot of people are probably at home that they wouldn't otherwise be. Yeah, that's certainly made a big difference here, that coronavirus and everything. Pretty much all the radio clubs have cancelled their meetings, their hamfests. There are a lot of other things in my calendar that would have happened have either been cancelled or very few people attending. And the room looks dark. Yes, that's... I've got a fairly limited length cord on this camera, and if I was to move, I won't do it, but if I was to, the light's actually up in that position. If I was to move it, it would probably be better, though it's still, I've changed the light compared with before, but it's still not the brightest light you can get, and it's a bedroom light. It's not a studio light or anything like that. Okay, our first question, HA6IM. How does a 2-meter delta loop perform on 70 centimeter third harmonic? Now, it's a good question because we know that a dipole for 2 meters work fine on 70 centimeters. It's low impedance. A delta loop, I'm not sure. The dark makes me look younger. How does a delta loop? I haven't tried it. I haven't seen. A delta loop has an impedance of around 100 ohms on 2 meters as full wavelength. Not sure how it would go on 70. Not even sure about its radiation pattern, whether that would be different. But certainly with delta loops, on HF, if you have a delta loop for, say, 10 megahertz, you can put it into have open via balanced feed line, and it will work fine on 7 and 14 megahertz. There won't be too much of a change in efficiency or radiation pattern. But I do know that if you go dramatically higher in frequency, then it's all that will start to change. So no, I haven't heard of anyone using it like that. Question 2, elevated radials for 40 meters, bottom loaded vertical would be fine. Well, elevated radials is a good thing if you're not going to have many of them. Bottom loading is convenient. It's physically robust, but you are losing efficiency compared to center loading or top loading. So if you can, you can, the antenna handbooks often have a bit on mobile antennas. They compare HF mobile antennas with bottom loading, and you see the current concentrated out at the bottom. Then you put the coil further up and it goes higher, and you got better performance. No idea as to the radiation angle. What have I been done? Well, my blog, The Daily Antenna, I had a bit of a while, about a month or so, where I wasn't posting anything. I was part of that time I was down in Tasmania. But anyway, I'm back. Anyway, I'm back to posting stuff. Probably I won't be able to post every day, but I've been posting most weekdays. So that's dailyantenna.com. There's some blog posts. Have you ever tried VP2E? No, never heard of it. I have been doing a bit of on-air portable activity. You can see that on my some of my YouTube videos. Just this last weekend, we had the Commonwealth contest. Now, for those outside the British Commonwealth, it's a CW only contest on HF, where stations can work people in the British Commonwealth. And I didn't take it seriously. I only went out portable for a couple of hours. But yeah, had some about 25 contacts in about 2 hours. Bit of DX, mainly on 20 and 40 meters, mainly 40 meters, including working into Africa, Namibia, which is very unusual, pretty rare. Yeah, worked Canada, UK, and Namibia. I was picked up on the reverse beacon at quite strong signal strengths in the US. So, yep, that was the Commonwealth contest. I operated from a local park. I'm pretty lucky here. I can go to the beach. It's about just a 10-minute walk to the beach from here. Or in the other direction, wetlands. There's swamps and lakes and stuff. And I'm wondering maybe I should actually operate near the lake. It would be lower lying and boggy, and maybe it would be at better ground conditions. So please teach me something about the 15-meter band. Well, I've got a video on various amateur bands. If you look at my website and the beginner stuff, in fact, in the QRP page, I do talk about the 15-meter band. And on the website, in the beginner section, I have a thing on foundation guide to various amateur bands. And I don't talk about 15 meters specifically. I do talk about 10 meters. It's basically similar to 10 meters, except it opens a little bit more often in the because it's a lower frequency, so more often MUF increases sufficiently for 15 meters to open. But this time of the solar cycle, it opens occasionally. You'd probably get more contacts if you're near the equator, as the MUF is higher. But yeah, 15 meters, it's one of those bands you can work quite good DX, but only occasionally opens. So yeah, there's beacons there on 21.15. But yeah, 15 meters. If you only had 15 meters as an amateur, you'd be pretty disappointed. It doesn't open as much as other bands lower in frequency at this phase of the solar cycle. So yeah, I hardly have any 15-meter contacts. Occasionally hear something from Japan, but whatever. But, not much. Okay, if you've just turned on, and we've got 11 people so far, this is Ask Me Anything, and I'm Peter VK3YE. I won't stick around too much longer because there is coming up in just under an hour a amateur radio homebrewing hack chat with ZL2CTM Charlie Morris. If you haven't seen his YouTube page, it's pretty good. Check it out. I think it's Charlie Morris. Anyway, he's been doing a lot of homebrew SSB transmitter and double sideband transceiver stuff. So he's got a homebrewing hack chat. I can't even pronounce it. Anyway, there's a post on hackaday.com, and that is starting at 1200 noon Pacific time in the US, which is 8 o'clock our time, which, in other words, in about 45 minutes. So I probably won't be sticking around this too much longer, apart from that. So yeah, I'm tempted to make up some sort of portable setup with a trolley that I can wheel around, because it's quite heavy to carry the power amplifier. But yeah, it definitely makes a big difference in the contacts I can get. Okay, what else have I been doing? Oh yeah, special event station. Some of the local people here have been going up to Shepparton. That's about I don't know, 3 or 4 hours north of Melbourne. And that's where Radio Australia is based. They've shut down their HF equipment, but the site was just for one last time. Some amateurs went, the Shepparton Radio Club went up there and set up a station using the old high gain antennas. Of course, that's fantastic for people in the desired direction. They got some really good signals. Here in Melbourne, we'd hardly heard anything because their signals, their rhombics and things would have been aimed in other directions. So I didn't hear much of them on 40 metres. The distance is probably too short anyway. But 160 metres, they were a very good signal. So I did a video recording of that. So that's on my YouTube channel. And hello to VA1DWG, Dwayne. And hello to Andy 2EOREE. And yep, up to 9 people. And this is Ask Me Anything, and I'm Peter VK3YE. Okay, a random question that we can answer because of the shortage in the supermarkets. What is the least popular tinned vegetable? Tinned food? And I can answer conclusively, it is tinned beetroot. No one likes tinned beetroot. That's pretty much almost the only tinned item left in the shops. The other thing is tinned mushroom. A lot of people don't like that either. But yeah, tinned beetroot's the main thing that people don't like. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that in. I've also been doing a bit of APRS. You could get a cable off Amazon or eBay or whatever that just plugs from your mobile phone, in this case an Android, into your 2-meter handheld and be transmitting your position. So I first of all did that on a walk along the beach, and it sort of worked, though it was patchy. Most places no one could pick me up, but one place, a few other places, some stations, one station could. Then I tried it on a hike with friends. This was last week or week before last, when you could still have social gatherings. Anyway, did that and did some travel in the bus, and it worked from there because there are some parts of the road where it was really elevated and you had good views across the bay to the other side of Melbourne, and that picked up the signal from the handheld. And also walking, we were fairly close to an APRS receiving station, about 4 or 5 kilometres. And although we were in dense bush, that's about the distance that we got on 2 metres. So, yep, I did a bit of tracking with the APRS. Then more recently, I went on a bike ride and got picked up, in various places. But again, as I was only using a handheld and the rubber duck, no, I wasn't. I was using a mobile quarter wave antenna on the bike, and I was picked up in some places, but not residential areas amongst houses. The obstructions were just too much. Okay. Don't seem to be very many questions, but maybe people are all at home and shut in, but now would be a good time to get on the air or try projects, as all our social things have been cancelled pretty much. The other experiment I've been doing, and I've done videos of this, is portable receiving with mainly FT8, but with those crystals. I did a video on this. W6OUT sent me some crystals a while ago, and they were specifically for digital mode frequencies like JS8 and Whisper and FT8. Anyway, made up a little receiver. I should build a transceiver for it as well. But yeah, so far I've done little receiving tests and had some great results. What are some properties of the single transistor RF mixer Question from Antenna Farmer. Well, the answer is you only use it as a last resort. It's not the greatest of RF mixers. It's not very good as regards to strong signal performance. Like you can get, I've seen, single transistor mixers with just FETs. They seem to be the most common. Is simple converters. They are not balanced mixers, so you wouldn't use them as a balanced modulator in a SSB transceiver because they won't null out the carrier. You'll still have, as a transmitting mixer, you'll still have large components of the input signals on the output. So, and as a receiver, they can be easily overloaded. So, but a benefit of them is that a one transistor mixer only requires a very small local oscillator drive, whereas a diode mixer is a lot stronger. It's more robust with strong signals, but you need a higher amount of drive from whatever you are exciting it with, from your beat frequency oscillator or your local oscillator or whatever. So yeah, that's single transistor mixers. Okay, ask me some more questions. Receiving, did receiving satellites, did a video on that recently, but not just the FM satellites, the SSB satellites. There are some, VK, someone posted a message on Facebook and said, I want someone to come up because I've got a visitor in the shack to show amateur satellites to him. I didn't have satellite station set up, but because you need to transmit 70 centimeters SSB, and I didn't have an antenna at home for that. So anyway, I thought I'd listen in, and fortunately people did come up and there are contacts. So yeah, I did a recording on YouTube. Yeah, I haven't yet uploaded a video. There's something I might do it today. I went portable on one late afternoon. It was a nice warm day, so I went down the beach and had some CW contacts on 40 meters and all that. Hello to Alvaro. Well, I've done a lot of talking, and this is Ask Me Anything, and I'm Peter VK3YE, so ask me a few questions and I'll try and answer them. And we've got 13 people online, so that's great. So I've got another light here, but when I have too much light, it's a bit more light. What's better for efficiency? End-fed half-wave antennas, tuner or transformer? There's a question on stepper motor projects. I've never done anything with stepper motor projects. It's it'd be quite fun, I think, especially if you're into robotics. A lot of people are controlling them with stuff, microcontroller stuff like Arduino. Now, I do know a friend of mine, Joe VK3YSP. He has done a project with a satellite motor thing for controlling antennas. Just do a search in Google, VK3YSP satellite motor, and it's on the website SARCnet, SARCNET.org. That's the Schools Amateur Radio Club. Joe and Julie, VK3FOWL, do a lot of work with promoting radio in schools, and one of their projects has been satellite rotators. So have a look at just Google VK3YSP satellite motor, and you will find that the first thing that comes up, mini satellite antenna rotator. There's a presentation there. to give sticks. So you'll, and there's a file section of that website, so you'll find some stuff there. So that's I'm sure there's others, but that's one that comes to mind. Now, getting back to that question, efficiency half-wave antennas. Personally, I use a antenna coupler, L-match, variable capacitor and coil. Gives you multiple bands. I know that people use, fixed transformers. I think they're probably okay for a single band. I'm a bit suspicious of them. Like, sure, they work, especially if they start heating up. There's some losses and inefficiency there. And with the L-match, you can get multiple bands, which is a big advantage. Any tips for CW? Yeah, we'll just learn the alphabet and just practice. You can get programs. You can listen to CW on the air. Even on HF, you sometimes, even outside the amateur bands, you sometimes hear Morse still, around 8 or 9 megahertz, marine stations. Did you hear for the Taurus 20 SSB? No. I think I've read the name somewhere, but know nothing about it. Hello to Peter. And great success with your homemade handheld Yagi. Great, fantastic. Good that you've had results there. And this is Ask Me Anything, and I'm Peter VK3YE. And as you can see from the shaking, I'm holding the microphone. Yeah, this is just an impromptu thing. I thought I'd come up and see if anyone was around. It's 7:26 a.m. local time here in Melbourne, by the way. We started about 7. Oops. That's funny. That's what happens. You get a delayed echo. I was just clicking on my YouTube channel and ended up playing this video, so I'll shut that down. How infrared half-wave wire almost works as vertical with low radiation pattern. Well, it can work as a half-wavelength vertical if you have the whole thing vertical. Or you can have an inverted L if you want. For 7 megahertz, you could have 10 meters up and 10 meters across. That will give you a mixture, vertical and horizontal. Okay. I think this might be a short one. Not very many questions. Normally, of course, it is early on Thursday morning here. I find early on Monday morning is our time. It's probably good because it's still the weekend. It's still Sunday night in Europe and Sunday afternoon in the US. So that's the peak time. Yeah, there's one quick question from Steve McNaughton. Hello to PY5WN. Yeah, waiting for your question, Steve. When you did your Delta Loop on the beach, I can't remember if I needed a tuner. Yeah. Which Delta Loop? Yeah, if it's around a wavelength and you're only using it on a single band, then you can get away with not using a tuner if you use a transformer made of 75 ohm coax cable. That works because your Delta Loop has an impedance of around 100 ohm and you've got your 50 ohm transceiver. So 75 ohms is close to being the geometric mean of those two values. So that can operate as a quarter wavelength transmission line transformer. Bearing in mind it's a quarter wavelength electrically, so you've got to multiply the length by the velocity factor for the coax line, which is usually about 0.66. So yep, you can get away with not having a tuner if you do that. You could use some sort of transformer thing. That could sort of work. Ideally, you want a 2-to-1 impedance transformation. But yeah, usually I've used a tuner. a balanced line tuner would be fine, and it will give you the flexibility to operate on multiple bands. It's from open wire feed line. So, yeah. Switching coil, difficult part to make. Not particularly. No, it's not difficult. You can just have taps on your coil every couple of turns, and if you've got an air round coil, then you can just have an alligator clip, and provided you can open up the inside of the box or make it open air, then yeah, that's simple. Can be difficult to obtain rotary switches. You want something that's like 8 position or 10 or 12 position if you can keep the wires short. But yeah, no, it's not difficult making taps for coils. It's a bit tricky. It doesn't have to be exactly right. Would a metal roof about 72 square meters make a good ground plane for 20 meters? Yeah, sure. Just make sure your connections are good and there's no rusty spots, because that can cause rectification and interference. There was a time when wasn't a metal roof, it was bad connections in a wire antenna that I was hearing all these signals all over the band. I did a video of this a few years ago, and I could hear broadcast stations and all sorts of nonsense, and it turned out to be bad connections and parts of the antenna rectifying these strong broadcast stations, and when I replaced all that, it went away. Okay. Ever tried a phased array portable? Yeah, I think you could do it for 2015 or 10. It's tricky. More than one wires, and it becomes a pain to put up and take down. I have tried various things occasionally and haven't got much directivity from it. I think it's pretty critical. And stuff like wire, especially if it's blowing around in the wind, the spacing is varying. Yeah, I think things have to be just right. Even things like what's that antenna called? The Moxon. Even that has to be fairly critical with element spacing at the ends between the two bent elements. Otherwise, your directivity and all that just goes out the window. So, yeah, for portable operating, I do get the urge sometimes to try different wires. In fact, I was looking last night in Les Moxon's book, HF Antennas for All Locations, and maybe I might build something that's a couple of elements, but overall, then the other thing is turning it around. Depending on the feed point of things, you might have to move your transmitting site location a little bit along the ground, and especially if you're at the beach, that can become a bit tricky. So yeah, I just mainly use single element wire antennas. Okay, that's pretty much all the questions. 17 people on. We've been talking for nearly half an hour, would you believe? It's gone quick, probably because I've been doing most of the talking. So ask me a question in the next 1 or 2 minutes, and then we'll finish up, I think. I should mention books. Those in Australia, my Australian Ham Radio Handbook, you can buy it from JCar Shops, big electronics chain here in Australia, so that's great if you want the paperback, or you can get it as an ebook, ordered via Amazon. Another books that has been very popular is my portable antenna handbook. It's just in time for the, should be starting to get warmer in the Northern Hemisphere, so good time for operating portable, especially if you go to somewhere where, open space where there's no one else around. And that's more hand-carried QRP antennas. So you can get that either as a paperback or ebook, and that's a follow-on from hand-carried QRP antennas. So make sure you get both if you haven't already got them. There's been a few reviews and things. How about a BC547 or 2N2222 rig? Well, someone actually did an all 2N2222 rig. It was a project, I think it's one of the US amateur radio clubs, 2N2222. Yeah, it required quite a lot of transistors, but yeah, they could produce a transceiver that used nothing but those transistors. So yeah, a novelty, a bit of fun. Okay, that's pretty much to the end. No other questions. So thanks all for watching, and stay safe. And if you are isolated and all the things you want to go to are cancelled, great time to be finishing up some projects and getting on the air. So cheers to all, and have a good day, everyone. This is VK3YE Clear.